Hello, Bible in a Year family. Guess what? It's not episode 182. It's not episode 183. This is episode 184 of Bible in a Year. What an honor it is to be able to do this, guys. I've said this here in recent podcasts that we've done here for y'all. There are between 200 and 300 people studying the Bible with us. Households. Because I know there's some of these households got multiple people watching.
Sure.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it truly is. God gave you a vision a long time ago, and look what's going on now with ministry. And
Praise the Lord.
all the people.
I just love, though, because let's be honest, you and I have done this a long time. Like the biggest Bible study you typically do, like if you get a dozen people, you're jumping for joy. And if all of them continue to come back for, it's July.
Yeah.
If you held a Bible study with 12 people who stuck and stayed until July, we would think that was a major success. There's 200 to 300 households doing this with us every single day. And I tell you, I am excited. Today, guys, we're looking at Isaiah 7 through 10, and we've got a rich one for you. This is Messianic, beyond Messianic, beyond Messianic, and it is going to be a good one. Join us here, subscribe, hit the notifications bell, please comment. We love when you guys do that. It's going to continue to increase the reach. So God bless you. Let's hit this thing and do this episode justice. Here we go. Well, hello, Dr. Spence. How's it going today?
I'm good, Kev. How are you?
I am good. You know what? I've got a lot on my mind. Nothing bad. But our middle son, Garrett, turned 28 years old.
Wow.
What would that be?
2 days ago.
Was that
Tuesday?
I don't even know what day it is.
It's Thursday.
As my granny would say, he turned 28 on July the 1st. July. Granny used to say it like that. But we didn't have a party on July the 1st because I had to teach a Bible study. So the kids went out to dinner together. But tonight, Leslie and I are having a party for Garrett's birthday. And you and I are going to shoot this podcast, and we're going to shoot the next podcast, and then I'm going to go home and get ready for this party. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little scatterbrained today. It's why I'm talking like a crazy person.
It's okay. That's okay.
My head, we've got like 30 people coming to our home for Garrett's birthday party, mostly family and some, because the kids get to pick. Who do you want to come to your birthday party? And I mean, it's kind of crazy. He's 28. Like, why are we still having birthday parties? But anyways, because we like to celebrate. We like to celebrate our families. And, I just think it's great. So anyways, but we're doing that tonight. But today, we're looking at Isaiah 7 through 10. So, guys, so just so you know, I've got all these notes here because this, it's an intricate book, okay? Isaiah 7, Ahaz is confronted, and the sign of Immanuel. We'll spend some time talking about that.
Yeah.
Isaiah 8, okay? Assyria is used as God's instrument. It's God's instrument of restorative justice upon Israel, okay? Isaiah 9, 1 through 7, we're going to hear about a great light and the Prince of Peace prophecy, okay? Isaiah 9, 8 through 10, 4, oracles of judgment upon Israel. And then finally, to close it out here today, we're looking at Isaiah 10, 5 through 34, Assyria's arrogance. We touched on this on the last episode, and God's judgment of Assyria. I'm using you as my instrument, but don't you forget the concept of grace when it comes to my people. So let's start Isaiah 7. Sign of Immanuel. Where do we go with this, David?
Well, I like Isaiah 7:14. Therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will be with child and will give birth to a son and will call him Immanuel. And that takes you right to Matthew 1:23, as you have said before, that this is all pointing towards the Messiah, towards Christ. Immanuel means God with us. And so this is the miracle of Jesus' virgin birth. 700 years before Jesus was even born, Isaiah prophesies that Jesus will be born of a virgin.
Isn't that amazing?
It truly is.
why do some people say, "Oh, no, come on, this isn't about Jesus. This is about King Ahaz"? What's the little back and forth with this?
Well, you got to have faith. You really do. But once he's identified as Immanuel, God with us, that's the Christ in Matthew 1:23. And I think people get lost, and some people have a hard time believing in a virgin birth. And
Well, I want to talk to you about that as well. Okay, you and I have, and I don't want to be destructive. I don't want to be. We have enough destructiveness going on in the body of Christ. Okay, telling the truth is fine, but I'll say this very quickly. We both left a denomination that many deny the virgin birth.
yeah,
This is an absolutely vital part of our faith. Why is the virgin birth so important to Christian faith?
well, it was prophesied by Isaiah. It's God's way of bringing in his son into this broken world, the virgin birth. Jesus Christ was fully God. He was conceived by the Holy Spirit, but he was fully man. He was born of the Virgin Mary.
Yeah, it's a statement of incarnation, in my opinion, and it's what you just said there. We have the fullness of God, and it goes back to John 1.
Oh,
This isn't the will of the flesh or the will of man. No, it's the will of God.
Yeah.
It's the quickening of what may have been a prepubescent womb. Like what? I mean, that's, who knows? We can't prove that scripturally, but potentially. So we have fully God, fully human, and it's the connection between God and humanity. And I mean, that may be a pretty basic explanation of the importance of the virgin birth, but it's just so sound. So, all right, Isaiah 8. Okay, we're looking at God in this passage saying, "Look, Assyria, you are going to, be my instrument, upon Israel. I'm going to use you to turn their hearts back toward me." And then we get over here. we get over here to chapter 9.
yeah.
These first 7 verses. And this comes into play. I mean, it's quoted in Jesus' life, this passage.
It truly is.
What's the importance of Isaiah 9 for the folks as they read today?
Well, he's talking about the gloom and the distress, and that brings on the advent of the Messiah. In that darkness appears the light of Jesus Christ. He says in 9:1, "Nevertheless, there will be no more gloom for those who were in distress. In the past, he humbled the land of Zebulun and Naphtali, but in the future, he will honor Galilee by the Gentiles, by the way of the sea, along the Jordan. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light." That's Jesus Christ. All of this comes true in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 4. Yeah. You see it clearly. As you have said so many times and so well, the Old Testament, New Testament, interlocking there to show us Jesus Christ in all of his fullness.
Historically speaking, before we get down to this 6th verse, because the 6th verse, I mean, gosh, it's funny we're cutting this in July. It's like Christmas in July.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Love it.
But let's think historically, culturally, okay? When the northern kingdoms are carried off to Assyrian exile,
722 BC.
those areas are resettled.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when the Babylonian exiles come back to Jerusalem, there's always that weird division, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like the people of Jerusalem, I don't know, it's kind of like they felt they were a little bit better than the people in the north. And let's not even get talking about Samaria. But they always kind of saw them as less than, did they not?
Absolutely true.
And that's part of all of this. And it's interesting. I'm teaching this Bible study to there's 4 guys who have come to me. They're retired businessmen. Like one is near retirement and the other 3 are retired. Well, one of them says, "I don't know if I'm retired or not." Yeah, right, exactly. Am I retired? Am I not retired? But they'd never studied the Bible before. Loved Jesus, but never studied the Bible because they'd given themselves to their career. And the first thing they said, we're retired. We wanna do this, And so we're walking through this. And they have all kind of questions about the difference between the people in Galilee and the people in Jerusalem. Yeah. And they keep basically saying to me, and I'm interested how you would answer the question, why did God the Father choose in his will to place Jesus in the north, in this area, in darkness, where he can be the great light, rather than just come right into Jerusalem? How would you answer that question for these guys?
Well, he goes into Jerusalem in his own time and in his own way. I think that's important to remember. But the Galileans and the people in Samaria and the north were kind of the rejects. When the Assyrians conquered the northern tribes in 722 and they took them to Assyria, the Assyrians settled Samaria in that area in the north with their own people. But in 587, 586, when the Babylonians conquered Jerusalem and the temple and brought the Jews to Babylon, when they went back, it was mostly Jews that went back, and they had Jerusalem, they had the temple. So you do have that conflict there between the people in Jerusalem and the people in Samaria and Galilee. Isn't it interesting that when Simon Peter betrayed Jesus, they said, your accent betrays you. You're a Galilean.
Oh, no, I know.
They had a little different accent.
What is interesting, too, and I know we're getting down a little bit of a rabbit trail here, but Jesus just keeps going farther north.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyre, Sidon, Caesarea Philippi. Yeah. I mean, think about that, where Simon Peter is saying, you're the Christ, the Son of the living God. That's there. Yeah. I mean, that's way north. They're nowhere near Jerusalem at that point. Yeah. So it really does come back to, and I mean, it goes even back to what we were just talking about, Assyria is God's instrument, because it's not just about Israel. It's about all the other nations coming together and, and being blessed through the Messiah. Yeah. And so that's why this 6th verse of 9 is so important. Yeah. For to us a child is born. Wow. To us a son is given. And the government will be on his shoulders. Boy, we could talk about that for a while, couldn't we? A lot of people, and I'm not trying to go down a political road here, I'm truly not, but all this debate back and forth about the bill in Congress right now and all that. And, I met with some people this week, hey, we're fearful we're going to lose our funding and so on and so forth. And I've had many people ask in the past, what if they get rid of the tax deduction? I don't give my tithes and offerings because I get a tax deduction. I've made my life available to God because it needs to be available to God, not because I get a tax break. You know what I'm saying? The government will be on his shoulders, okay? Of the greatness of his government and peace, there'll be no end. He'll reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. What's the message here?
The message really is fourfold to me. In his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God. Think about a child being called Mighty God or Everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. The child in the manger is called Everlasting Father.
Interesting.
How can that be? I mean, that's the irony of God that you see all over the book of Isaiah. I think this is a great passage for ministers. It's a great Advent sermon. You've got 4 points for your Advent sermon, or if you're an associate pastor or a teacher, Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. And of the reign of peace there shall be no end. So when the Prince of Peace comes back, there will be permanent peace. But until then, we've got some challenges. Yeah,
seriously. Absolutely. Absolutely. I find it interesting. This was another question that these guys had of me. Is Jesus God? That was the question and I was like, oh my gosh, it says that in so many different places. It says the fact that they're calling this child, everlasting Father. It harkens back to Jesus walking through Solomon's portico and saying, I and the Father are one, and they try to kill him. Or in the upper room where Philip says, just show us the Father. And Jesus says, well, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. It's a consistent message. This is prophetic, but it's not just prophetic. It's a declaration of what has always been the reality. I mean, it just is.
And and nobody else gives us the virgin birth.
Oh no.
In the Old Testament, except for the book of Isaiah. This is great reading.
It really is. It really is. Absolutely. It's funny. I'm looking through here and I'm like, oh my gosh. A passage that I love. Okay. And I think that this also is spoken of to Moses in terms of, because I don't know if people fully grasp how God was judging them to bring them back to himself. And you and I were talking about this before the first episode. I think a lot of times when people read the Old Testament, they just want to throw the whole thing out. Somebody even texted me about that this morning. Let's just go to the New Testament, which is a book of love and peace. How do you read Isaiah 10, 20 through 24, okay, and not see restorative justice there? In that day, the remnant of Israel, the survivors of Jacob, will no longer rely on him who struck them down, but will truly rely on the Lord, the Holy One of Israel. That's a great statement. A remnant will return. A remnant of Jacob will return to the mighty God. Though your people be like the sand by the sea, Israel, only a remnant will return. Now, there is going to be justice, but God will never go back on his covenantal word.
Good point.
Destruction has been decreed, overwhelming in righteousness. The Lord Almighty will carry it out, the destruction decreed upon the whole land. Therefore, this is what the Lord Almighty says. And then it goes down on farther down.
Yeah.
But I think this is so important for people to see. As I've been reading the Bible over and over and over and over and over and over again over these last, 5 or 6 years, 3, 4, 5 times a year as I'm listening, what I see is this deliverance it's an exodus from exile, okay? We're exiled to slavery. We're exodusing into relationship with God.
Yeah.
They blow it. He lets that generation die off, raises up another generation of faith, tells them, stay as a faithful people. We get to Samuel. We don't want you. We want a king so we can be like everybody else. Fine. I will grant you grace. I will give you a king. Saul blows it. David gets it nearly all right. Solomon starts well, doesn't finish great. And we're back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, with God constantly giving grace upon grace upon grace upon grace until he says, that's it. And this is another great point that Sproul makes in that Holiness of God book. At some point, grace runs out.
Yeah.
And justice has to come.
Yeah.
And God is well within his right to offer justice. Kind of as a sidebar here, that's how Leslie and I parented the boys. This is our home. We are the parents. You are the children. If you do wrong, we have the right, as your parents, to extend to you grace or extend to you justice. If we extend to you grace, we will let you know that what you've done is wrong, but we are graciously giving you a pass. But understand, that can run out at any time. And that's how we parented.
Yeah.
And it worked.
It does work.
And this is what you're reading in this. At some point, it's not like grace runs out. I know I just said that because it's grace upon grace. It's the right of God to say, okay, you did not turn back to me through inspiration. So now I'm going to drive you to desperation and see if you'll come back to me.
Jonah.
Yeah, who else you want to pick? You know? Hosea, I need you to marry a prostitute.
Yeah.
I mean, Ezekiel, I need you to do this. Yeah. I mean, we can go on and on. Even like Habakkuk is a sad book, but not void of hope.
It ends well.
Oh, it ends very well.
Yeah.
Like when Sean and I were cutting the Ecclesiastes passage, and I mean, I'm just kind of rambling here. I probably should bring it back in. But when Sean and I were cutting the Ecclesiastes episodes, this is what I kept saying to him. Sean, this book is fine. It's a beautiful book. At the same time, Solomon's like the rich young ruler. He's pursuing all of these things with this great wealth and this great wisdom, but he's always stopping short. He just never quite gets. And so for me, people who are like Isaiah, people who are like Jeremiah, people who are like Ezekiel, who don't lie about what's happening, who don't say, oh, you read this in Jeremiah all the time, the prophets are prophesying peace, peace, when there is no peace.
Right.
It's these prophets that are saying, look, God has not stopped loving us, but we have stopped loving God. And we have to be accountable for our sin here. So what are we going to do about it? Because God is going to punish us. I love those passages where God says, I don't care if Daniel and Noah and Job came to me.
Yeah.
They might be able to save themselves. But this is happening, You are going to time out. You are getting a spanking. You are, please. No, I told you what the rule was. You lose the keys to the car. You are grounded. That's what's happening here. I've rambled. I mean, what's going through your head as I'm saying all this?
There are consequences for our actions. You sow good seed, you reap good seed. And if we don't, we don't,
Yeah, it's just so big. And as this passage ends here for today, this passage, Isaiah 10:5-34, again, it's talking about Assyria's arrogance, Let me just keep reading down there at the tail end of 10. Second half of verse 24. My people who live in Zion, don't be afraid of the Assyrians. Yeah. I've used them as my instrument. Yeah. But they're accountable too.
Right.
Who beat you with a rod and lift up a club against you, as Egypt did. Very soon my anger against you will end, and my wrath will be directed to their destruction. And that's why I think we always have to be mindful of Genesis 12. Abram, you place your faith in me, and through you, I'll raise up a nation, Israel, and through you, all peoples will be blessed, whether you're Israelites or Assyrians. If you'll just come, unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. I just think that's the message.
That's a powerful conclusion. And you see the holy God, the Holy One of Israel, he's in charge. He is sovereign. He's in charge of everything.
Such a theme throughout this book.
It is.
Such a theme. All right, guys. Second episode down. Got a few more to go. We are going to be at, let me look and see what we're doing tomorrow. I don't even know what we're doing. Isaiah 11-15 for tomorrow. Join us tomorrow. Going to be great. God bless you. We'll see you then.